next is the topic of security. The next panel is called Offshore Renewables at Risk, and what can we do about that? I'd like to ask Baptiste Laflèche, bonjour, Mike Liddell, and Olivier Jacq to join me on stage. Thank you. Yeah, just grab that one. Bonjour. Oh, you started shaking hands. I'm going to shake the last hand then. Hello. Thank you for joining me for this session. Sorry for the little delay, or the large delay. Now, Baptiste Laflèche, you are a corporate security representative for Europe and Central Asia at TotalEnergies, and your company has plenty of offshore experience in the oil and gas sector. How does that help you analyze the threats when it comes to offshore wind energy farms?
Yes, thank you. So maybe just to introduce the TotalEnergies activity in the renewables. We are known in oil and gas, but now we are entering by the main door into renewables. Maybe we could show the first slide if it's somewhere.
The remote should be somewhere. Yeah. Just the green button.
Green button.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay, so that's the ambition of TotalEnergies. We want to be one of the top 5 producers by 2030. So how are we going to reach it? Today we are at, let's say, around 23, 25. In 2025, we're going to be at 30 gigawatts, and in 2030, we are going at 100 gigawatts. So that's our ambition between solar and wind. So top 5, if I exclude China, just for you to understand the big picture. Among this, it's 1/3 of wind, approximately. You can see the spreadsheet. So yes, coming to the security topic. What are the threats today? Okay, the threats are, let's say, really close to what we experience with our offshore assets. You can see on the left-hand side, theft, of course, sabotage, but also kidnapping in some part of the world. This is a possibility when you explore some, let's say, risky countries, which will come one day. But also safety. The collision risk. The collision risk can also be a security topic, because when you have a fishing vessel from, let's say, Eastern nationality that is encroaching a cable, you don't know if it's safety or security. This already happened 2 years ago. We have several examples where cables were encroached in North Sea by some fishing vessels from East, I would say. And those cables were found 6 months after on the route of those fishing vessels. So we suspect that it was, let's say, an international act, so more a security issue. It's a bit small, but we have also, of course, the damage to subsea asset and industrial risk. Yeah.
And what do you do to protect your projects against these threats?
Yes, so basically what you can see here on this slide is what we are doing today. So we are not going to change completely our methodology. We have a full security in place to protect our assets. This is an example of Gulf of Guinea. We have so full surveillance of our offshore assets with a Marine Operations Center. And basically, with this radar and AIS system, we are able to completely survey control the area together with the Nigerian authorities and be able to identify some threats. So that's, let's say, so the surveillance we are implementing, and of course we can replicate it in Middle East or other areas. On the right-hand side, you can see the type of device we are installing on our platform. So again, if you move from oil and gas to wind, it's almost the same type of, let's say, device, anti-climbing. It's quite heavy, but it needs to be designed upfront depending on the risk of the area. Of course, all this comes with a cost, but it's always a question of, let's say, your evaluation of the risk and also the risk of production shortfall if you don't implement this.
And I understand you're also using some innovative technologies to protect your assets.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. Sorry, I need to shift. Yes, I want to introduce this vessel, this autonomous vessel that we have developed with Seanergy. So it's a 10-meter vessel that is able to protect some assets. So it can protect any type of assets offshore, and of course wind farm. Let's say the specificity of this tool is to let's say to have, of course, to be unmanned and to be able to do some pattern in an autonomous way. So you can have a control room remotely. You can bring this, let's say, the controlling of this device, and this vessel will do some pattern around your wind farm. I don't know if we can show the video now.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Maybe we could show, you brought a video of that device. Could we show it? Or an extract, because it's a bit long. There we go. So this is a simulation at one of your oil platforms.
Yeah, so of course you can replicate it to windmills. So the example is in Nigeria. We are spending a lot of money with crew, with vessels, patrol vessels, and basically we could replace part of it, and we are going to experience this in a few months because the vessel is now fully operating. We will experience it in a few months in Nigeria to ensure that it's responding to the need.
So this little boat with people was supposed to be a boat with people attacking the platform, right?
So basically we have several type of mission, surveillance of the area. So the boat is able to analyze the full area with all the vessels coming into the area. And when a vessel is, let's say, suspicious and coming into, let's say, 1 nautical mile or 2 nautical miles from the windmills, we are able to make some deterrence with some sound, of course only non-lethal tools, but with some sounds, and also with a system with a rope or some other device that can, let's say, stop the vessel approaching too close from our vessel.
All right.
So I think it's good.
Okay. Thank you very much, Baptiste Laflèche from TotalEnergies. Now, let's bring you in, Mike Liddell. You're a program director at Dutch geodata company Fugro. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And your company, I understand, is increasing safety by working more remotely.
Yes, that's right. For a number of years now, we've been delivering a lot of our services remotely. And one of the big drivers for that is that safety benefit we see. For a long time, a lot of people offshore have been doing roles that we believe should be now moved onshore. So if your job offshore involves looking at computer screens, looking at video feeds, and even some operation of machinery roles, they are now able to be moved onshore. So there's a definite safety benefit there. We see that working in a remote operation center onshore is a far safer environment than offshore on a vessel. But we also see other benefits there. Sustainability is a key benefit as well. We reduce the logistics, the air travel associated with people traveling to the vessels. And then that's also enabling us to look a bit more at the size of vessels that we operate. So if we need less people on the vessel, we can look at vessels with smaller accommodation capabilities. And then the ultimate realization of that is the uncrewed surface vessels. Yeah, I might see, I'm not sure if there's some slides.
Did you bring slides?
I did, but maybe that's no problem if they're not there. But yeah, so uncrewed surface vessels, we've been operating for about 3 years now, where we undertake seabed survey operations with from the people all fully working from a remote operation center, hundreds or even thousands of miles away.
Right, that's obviously remote, working remotely, working from home is a topic that's gone through the roof during the COVID pandemic since 2020. Is there a correlation between what you're doing and the COVID pandemic?
Yeah. We've been doing forms of remote operation for over 10 years. We've delivered 1 million project hours of remote operation. And when COVID hit in 2020, we felt that we were well provisioned for that with our remote operation. And we did see more acceptance from clients to remote operations immediately after COVID. However, 2021 onwards, we saw that there was a bit of a desire to go back to the status quo of people on vessels. But what's happened a bit more since then is that introduction of uncrewed surface vessels. So I guess the clue's in the name to some extent. They're uncrewed, so there's no other option. And we're developing workflows that are as much as possible common between uncrewed vessels and our crewed vessels. So we're seeing that that's really helping to drive things. The other element there is communications. Satellite connectivity to vessels has improved significantly in the last couple of years with the introduction of low Earth orbit communication satellites. So that's really meaning it's far easier to get large volumes of data off vessels, which really enables more remote operations.
And there has also been an somehow unexpected impact of a higher share of remote work, right?
Yeah, and one of the other benefits we see is an improvement in the diversity of our workforce. The offshore working domain has typically been a male-dominated industry, and it continues to be male-dominated. We often employ females, women into our business, and they may work offshore for a period of time, but what we often find is they get to a point in their home life, personal life, where they need to move onshore. And we see that remote operations gives us that opportunity to improve the diversity of our workforce, the gender diversity, but also opens up these technical career paths to people who may not have been able to work offshore due to maybe underlying medical conditions or mobility issues. So yeah, remote operations we see as being a far more inclusive way of delivering our services.
Oh, fascinating. Thank you very much, Mike Liddell. Olivier Jacq.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. So you are Senior Maritime Cybersecurity Advisor at France Cyber Maritime, which is a non-profit organization that brings together efforts from different sides. Your group has 90 members, ports, shipyards, other companies active in that sector, and you're looking at cyber risks. What kind of risks do you think offshore wind farms and marine renewable projects are facing these days?
Well, I've been wandering through the alleys here at Seanergy, and the 3 words I've been listening the most are autonomous vessels, remote operation, digitalization, and decarbonization. And
4 words, right?
Yeah, maybe 4 words. and all of them, in fact, rely on what we call cyberspace, on digital assets to be effective to work. And what I can show you is this iceberg, this kind of digital iceberg. Last year, in 2023, we monitored the cyberspace about cyber incidents, and we noticed that there were 145 incidents in the maritime sector made public, okay? But the real figure that we have is 612 incidents which were monitored last year in 2023. So it's not just on the offshore segment, of course, it's for the whole maritime sector, the whole supply chain, but the number of incidents is just huge, okay? If we look at the offshore sector, we've been seeing like 7 attacks on the offshore sector since 2015. On projects, so I mean the startup, the company is just starting the project and it gets attacked, and all the engineering plans, commercial plans are being sent on the dark web and are accessible to their concurrents, etc. We've seen incidents on shore assets, on companies, on cloud assets, for instance. We've seen incidents on offshore assets as well, like offshore wind turbines being targeted. And we've seen a lot of impact on reputation for these companies. They had the cyber impact, in fact, but they also had to be able to say to their clients, okay, we've been maybe not that good at that, but we'll become better on cyber. So there is a very strong impact on reputation. Yeah.
All right. And obviously the one security risk in everybody's mind is Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We've heard in mainstream media about security risks linked to that. Have you seen any specific or more security attacks since then, since 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the picture that you can see, the black one on the bottom left of the screen, it's the first day of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Russia attacked a satellite communication service. You talk about remote operation with satellite on the first day of the war, because Ukraine army was using this satellite network. But this satellite network was also used to monitor offshore energy systems like wind turbines, etc. So they destroyed the modems which were used on these offshore assets. And there were like 17,000 of offshore assets which were impacted by that during the conflict. And you can see that you have the program which was on the modem before and after the attack. And after the attack, it's just nothing. So, I mean, the modem is out of service, and they had to go on each of the offshore assets to set back a modem. And now, if you look at the figures that we follow at France Cyber Maritime, you can see there is a big peak of attacks on Europe in 2023. That's the impact of cyber attacks on the European ecosystem, mostly due to what we call distributed denial of service attacks, which means some groups are specialized into sending a lot of connections together on digital assets for ports, for instance, for offshore systems, for ship owners, etc. And they've been targeting Europe due to the high support of Europe to Ukraine and saying, no, that's not good. And each time there is a political decision in Europe, they launch an attack with a DDoS attack on our assets. So we should be very cautious about that. And you see the impact is really huge on cyber incidents.
All right, and what kind of solutions are there? How can you protect assets against such attacks?
Well, there are things which may be difficult. I don't know if there are many companies working in geofencing and 3D geofencing for offshore systems, but I wanted to show you this. This is the impact of the current situation on the GPS systems throughout Europe. And you can see that on the map here, everything that is red, it was the GNSS impossibility to connect to GPS, to have a GPS position in these countries. It was maybe yesterday or the day before. Okay, so today we have a continuous, what we call anti-access area denial to GPS on the Black Sea, on Eastern Med Sea, on the Baltic Sea, etc., which is very important and which should be taken into account. And as you said, there are solutions. The only problem is when you talk to people, either they have been taking the cyber risk seriously for like years, or they're saying, oh no, it's not going to happen. Maybe next time, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the human resources, I don't have the expertise, and it will wait. And when you wait, you expose yourself to having this kind of risks. And in fact, the solutions, they do exist. You have people here at Seanergy today which are able to do audits, compliance audits on your supply chain, on your equipment, etc. We have monitoring services. We have an information sharing center on maritime cyber risk, which sends alerts and bulletins. We have digital twins if you want to reproduce your OT IT systems and test them on cyber attacks. We have insurers, etc. So in fact, the solutions do exist. And for example, we have a European bug bounty event, which is called Battleship. It's a one-day event where we put ethical cyber researchers that target your systems, and if they find the vulnerabilities, and only if so, they get a bounty. Okay, it's better than to pay ransom, in fact. Okay, so there are ethical researchers. We know them. We know who they are in real life, and they target your system to see if there is anything that they can do to hack and to pass all your protection if you do have. So this is the kind of things that we're doing at France Cyber Maritime, and we're very happy because yesterday we signed an agreement with the Syndicat des Énergies Renouvelables, and we're going to work very, very strongly with them to enhance the cybersecurity level for offshore systems.
This is one agreement you signed. There's also some other news on an international level, right? You used to be an only French organization, and since what, 2-3 months, international players of the offshore wind energy market or of the maritime sector can join your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very important. In fact, sometimes we think like we are French, we have to work on the French cyberspace. But in fact, the cyberspace is connected. So when you have an attack in Asia in the morning, it can come to Europe the same day. So we've been working with sharing agreements with Asia, with Norway, with the US, in order to share together information about what is happening. So it's very important to work at the international level, and we welcome any European company who would like to join us working in the offshore sector. You can join from Cyber Maritime. We'll be happy to have you on board.
All right, thank you so much for coming here. Thank you, Mike Liddell. Thank you, Baptiste Laflèche. Thank you for listening. Thank you.